Hello, this is Geometric Constraints number 2. This is the second half of the Geometric Constraints assignment or kind of unit. So this one is just like the first. We're going to download a drawing and we're going to fix it so it looks more like this. So in the assignment on Canvas, I'm just going to download the file that it provides, and assuming we've already opened Inventor before, we can just double click on the download and it will open us up into this sketch. So first thing I'm going to do, where it says, when I highlight over here, it's still in red, which means I haven't opened up sketch mode yet. So if I double click on it, I can now edit everything inside here. So the first one is the title. So I'm going to change the title, and I'm just going to make that my name. I can highlight all of the text there, and then type over it and click OK, and that will change it. So it gives me my name and my period. I can zoom in on this first one, and it says to make a rectangle. That's 1.5 by 0.75, and that little dash mark up there is a symbol for inches. So I'm going to go over here to the rectangle tool, click once, and then kind of estimate more or less how big it should be. And notice how one of those numbers is in blue. If it's in blue, it means it's editable currently. So I can just type in directly 1.5. Then if I click Tab, the Tab key, I can edit the other dimension, so 0.75, and I can go back and forth that way just by clicking the Tab key back, over and over again. Then when I'm done, if I click Enter, it will finalize the rectangle. So notice that my cursor is still in rectangle mode. If I want to get rid of that, I can either hit the Escape key, or I can right-click and just say OK. Alright, so this next one is make a half circle with a 1-inch line and arc. So I'm going to go over here to Line Tool, and I'm just going to draw a flat line here. I'm going to type in 1 inch, hit Enter, and notice how this is, again, still trying to want to draw more lines, so I can just hit the Escape key or right-click and say OK, and that will get rid of it. So in here, this line, assuming I drew it flat, it's going to be constrained already. It's going to say, hey, you wanted this to be horizontal, so I gave it a constraint. That's great. So I'll go over here to Arc. I'm going to go click on the endpoint, and then I can start giving this an arc length like this. And I want it to be at 0.5 right there. So I'm just going to type 0.5, hit Enter, and that should be good. And it should look like that. And if I click a corner or whatever, or drag it around like that and it stays together, I've got it. Okay. Woo! Bless me. So this one is make a circle, and this little diameter right here, this symbol represents the diameter of a circle. So I'm going to go over to Circle Tool. It's going to look like this for you, so I'm going to click that one. And it's really easy. I just click anywhere to start it, and then type in 1.25 and hit Enter, and that's it. That's all you need to do. Alternatively, if you were to draw a circle and then you wanted to change the dimension afterwards, you can come up here to the Dimension tool, click, change that, make it 1.25, and Enter. That works too. Cool. So this one says make a symmetrical house shape only using lines. So I'm going to use the Line tool, and I'm going to make 3 sides: the wall, the floor, the wall, and then the roof. It's kind of like this. And this is pretty close, but to make sure that it's totally symmetrical, I'm going to make these lines all the same. So I'll use the equal constraint up here. I'll go boom, 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 boom. And then I'm going to make these two equal to each other, but not equal to those ones. So I'll just go there and there. Cool. So now if I were to stretch this out or anything like that, or if I change the peak there, it'll stay symmetric. Cool. Alright, so then this one's kind of fun, and I'll warn you not to go too crazy with this one, because if you make too many copies, it can actually crash your computer. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this circle here, and paste just a bunch of them in here, and I'd say do like 10 or so. So what I'm going to do is click the copy tool. I'm going to select this by either clicking each individual part, or if I click and drag from the right down to the bottom left, I can highlight all of them. And then I'm going to use this input right here where it has this red arrow. This is our base point, so it's going to be the reference point that we copy all of our other parts with. So I'm going to click there, and I'll go boom, 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 boom. I can just make a whole bunch of them. Like I said, don't make too many because you can crash your computer doing this, and that's not fun. So once you're done with that, you just click done, and you should have a bunch of circles. Cool. All right, so this next one is move the triangle to fit inside the circle. So I'm going to use the move tool up here. It's going to ask me again, what geometry do I want to move? I'm going to just highlight this whole triangle, use this base point, or define the base point, and then I can just drag it over and click. Done. Just that easy. Cool. All right, so then this one's a tiny bit more tricky. It's make a 1.5 inch hexagon and offset another hexagon 0.25 inches inside of it. So I'm going to go down or up on the rectangle tool, and this one's kind of hidden. It's the polygon tool down at the bottom. So I'll click that one, and the polygon tool, I can make any shape that's 3 sides or more, and I can just type in right here I want it to be like, if I want a hexagon, it's defaulted to 6. So I just click somewhere for the center point, and then it will start opening it up like that, more or less. So I'm not going to worry about measurements because it actually does not allow us to change the measurements as we're placing it, so it's like done. And then I'm going to go Dimension tool. I'm going to click any 2 parallel lines, and now I can change the size. So I'll go 1.5, enter. And then I'm going to do the Offset tool right here. And I'm going to bring this in 0.25, enter, like that. And if you're a little bit OCD like me, you might notice that this line is not totally flat. So to fix it, I'm just going to go horizontal constraint. Boom. Now it's flat. Looks good. Alrighty. And then this one is make an ellipse and mirror it across the line. So I'm going to go over to circle, hit the down drop, and the ellipse tool, which is really just an oval, is down below. I'll click there. And the ellipse is a lot like the circle tool where you start with a center point. And as I move it, I'm going to go like this, and it can get wider or skinnier or whatever. Click again. And then I'm going to go to the, where'd it go? Mirror tool right here. Click mirror. And then I'm going to select this geometry, including the center point. Define my mirror line with this right here. Click that. And then I click apply and done. And now I've got 2 ovals or ellipses that are now symmetric. The cool thing is if I change one, that'll be reflected across the other side. Alright. Okay, so here's a handy one. This is chamfer and fillet. So chamfer is a way of chopping like a 45-degree angle off of corners. Fillet makes them round. So we're going to do one side of chamfer, and the other side will be a fillet. So I'm going to go up here, and it should be defaulted to the fillet tool when you first open it. And I'm going to change this dimension to 0.25 before I click anything else. And then I'm going to click this line and this line, the 2 lines that make the corner, and that right there is a fillet. So that's a rounded object, or a rounded corner. If I wanted to edit that afterwards, let's say I put the wrong number in, I can always double click on this and I can change it. So if I wanted to make it bigger, make it 0.5. I want to make it back to 0.25, just type in 0.25. There it is. Alright, so then time for chamfer, which is going to be up here. It's the down drop under fillet. And we can click there and change this to 0.25 and hit enter. Oh, sorry, we got to click these first. So we'll click here and here and OK. Now notice these dimensions do kind of go all over the place. We can move those if we want to, but it won't change anything really. Like the the fillet will still, and the chamfers will still work. Right. So next step is, oh, I don't want that. It's going over here, and I'm going to trim away, it says 3 pieces of the pizza. So I'm going to go up here at the very top. There's a trim tool. It looks like a pair of scissors. I'm going to click that one. If I click and drag, notice there's this line that follows my cursor. Basically, anything that line goes through will erase. So if I go through this line, it'll get rid of that, and it will do that for most of these parts. You might get a couple that don't. I've had that happen before where I tried to erase some things and it just wouldn't do it. So if that happens, you can always just right-click those features and delete them. So let's pretend I couldn't get rid of this. I can just right-click it and say delete. And that'll do it. Right-click, delete. Cool. All right, and then second to last one. And okay, so this next one is pattern the square around the circle. So this right here is a little square, and we're going to try and make this look like a gear. So I'm going to use a circular pattern tool, which is a new one up here. Click circular. I'm going to highlight this little square, and technically I got the circle in there too, which is okay. And then I'm going to define what my axis is, or the path that it should revolve around. So I can either use the center point or this outside circle. Either way will work. And once I click that, you'll notice that it defaults to 6 items. I can change that number in here to be like 18 or 24 or whatever. I'd keep it under 50 though. If you have too many of them, again, it can bog your computer down pretty bad and even crash. So I'd keep it lower. You click the OK button, and it'll make kind of a gear shape. All right, and then the very last one is to make a rectangular pattern. This one is similar to the circular pattern, except you have more than one input. So go rectangular pattern. I'm going to highlight the geometry I want to make a pattern of. And then I have to define both my X and my Y values. So I'm going to click this right here for direction 1, and I can use the horizontal or the vertical lines. I'll just use the vertical ones for this first example. And notice it started making a pattern in that direction. If yours is going on the upper direction, you can always flip it right here by using this flip direction key. And this one will tell you how many iterations you want. So if I put in like 5, you can see I'm going to get a lot more. But notice they're spaced out really far. So if I want those to be closer so they fit on the page, I can change the spacing right here to be like 0.5. Or maybe let's try like 0.3 so it's a little more comfortable. And then I can click this one to define my next direction, which will be my horizontal. I can flip it back and forth using that key. And let's say I want to have 5 iterations, and I also want it spaced at 0.3. Looks pretty good. You just click OK and you're all done. And if it looks a little different than mine, that's all right, just as long as there's evidence of that you've used each of these tools, then it's full points. So when you're all done, you just click Finish, and it should look kind of like this. And the last thing you're going to do is go File, Export, PDF. And that's the file you'll be able to submit to Canvas. And once you've got that, you're all good. So thank you for your attention, and I hope that wasn't too challenging. And we'll see you guys next time.